I would never be so rude as to say what Leah did. I agree. She's just totally unlikable.
I think she was looking for a moment, and then
Yeah.
and then everyone looked at her like, "What are you doing?" And then she was like, "Forget it, forget it, forget it." Like, Portia is shining like a star. Giselle is great. And this is making me remember, and I like that Giselle saying, everybody knows I'm the one who stirs it up. Like, I like when they were calling Jen Shah and she didn't pick up, she's like, I would have asked more questions than, the attorneys or whatever. Welcome to Cocktails and Gossip, the podcast where we drink cocktails, but you better believe we're going to spill the tea. We chat reality TV, celebrity blinds, and the hottest tea from BravoandCocktails.com. And as always, it's all alleged and just for fun. We do not verify our blinds. I'm B.
And I'm Amanda. Let's get into this week's tea.
What's up, cocktailers?
Hey, cocktailers. So, B, you and I and cocktailers and Bravo fans, no one's getting any breaks after these last few weeks. I feel like, Scandival, and then it just has been kind of a rolling situation. And then this week, I can't remember what day it was, a couple days ago, you got a photo from a follower sent of Juan. So Juan, Robin Dixon's husband from Potomac, at the nail salon with a woman.
We sure did. And it wasn't just any woman. You guys will remember a few weeks ago, we received a separate photo. Juan was in a laundromat with a woman who was identified as the director of basketball operations at Coppin State. That photo of him went absolutely viral after we posted it. It was everywhere. When that was sent to us, we were told that it was typical so when you're an assistant coach, it's typical for the assistant coaches to, when they're traveling, to take the team's laundry to the laundromat. However, the follower said that they looked like they were very hugged up, although in the photo they were kind of leaning into each other, but not exactly hugging. Okay, so let's just say they're working, right? They're doing the laundry.
Wait, I can't get over this laundry thing. There's not laundry facilities at the schools that they're visiting that can help with this. This is sorry, I know, typical me, but I get distracted by a small detail, and that seems very strange to me.
So a bunch of people said that, people who played college sports, and again, clearly I did not play college sports, so I wouldn't know this, but it's very typical. If you're traveling to a school, I guess you don't use it because I guess their students are using those facilities. So you go to the laundromat and the assistant coach is the one.
Oh, okay.
Or me. I think it's most likely that she was the one because she's she's probably below him. She's the director of basketball operations,
right.
Which sounds a lot like you do laundry and get water. So in any event, there they were. But people were, you could say they were working, right?
Yeah.
What we know now is that Juan has since been fired as the assistant coach of Coppin State's basketball. So is it odd that he's continuing to hang out with this young, attractive woman? Yeah. He was sitting there getting so this girl was in the nail salon with them when she sent it to me. He was sitting there getting his nails done, and she was just sitting with him chatting. Also, it's weird because I certainly wouldn't sit with my boyfriend or my husband as he's getting his nails if I wasn't. But, when you're first dating somebody, maybe that seems like a cute thing to do. On the one hand, we have to imagine that even though we know the network had to be angry at her for withholding all of his side events and then putting it on Patreon under a paid subscription, I have to imagine that this secured her a spot. Robin.
Yeah.
We initially heard some talk about her being demoted, but it seems unlikely. Is this an open arrangement? People keep saying to me, oh, please, it's an open arrangement. Okay, but she hasn't publicly said that. And Karen came out, of course, and tweeted the shade. Some people want to be seen. The thing to me, Amanda, I think that I keep going back to is if they were just in this purgatory of a relationship that they were for years and even just engaged and whatever, I could say it's just for the show, but they got married. They went and they got married. They had a ceremony. They did the whole thing. So, I mean,
it makes no sense to me unless there is like Robin had like, I mean, I guess it would make more sense. I'm not saying this is the only other option, but if Robin had some sort of agreement, right? An open relationship, call it whatever you want to call it. Who knows? But like, I wouldn't think that this would be happening and Robin isn't okay with it to a certain extent, right? Because what is the point of getting, married? And like, why does she continue to defend him and say, no, everything's fine? Like, nothing is adding up. This one really throws me. I just don't get it.
I mean, could it be that he sort of has always cheated and social media is bigger now and we're catching it more?
I mean, 100%. I mean, that is, I think, absolutely could be a factor, right? Where, everyone's a paparazzi right now. So that's why there's just not as much paparazzi. I wonder if maybe part of it too is just there's like some sort of arrogance there where he just doesn't think that he's going to get caught. And then if he does get caught, then he doesn't think Robin's going to do anything about it.
Right.
I don't know. I don't understand from Robin's standpoint because I feel like she had a pretty healthy distance and like kept him like, I don't know. It's a head scratcher for me.
It's very strange. And like, I wonder how she's going to handle this. I mean, we're all assuming she's coming back, especially in light of all this. How is she addressing this? I mean, this should be the season of I'm a newlywed, we're finally married, and clearly it can't be. Is she just going to like laugh off these photos and just pull that, oh, it was on the blogs, you can't believe the blogs? These are pictures. This is not just someone sending it in, right? These are actual photographs, evidence of him hanging out with this. Could they just be friends? I guess. But I mean, if you're a public figure, the optics on that aren't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, the Potomac women are not going to let this one slide either. And because this picture did go like so many places, did go viral. I mean, it's not going to be like the picture of Karen in Vegas that Robin was showing around on her phone, but that we couldn't see as viewers, right? Like this will be something which, by the way, producers, just be sure to credit the website, please. Well, like, reach out to us, obviously, but like, geez, I don't know. I don't see the Potomac women letting this one go either, especially given the way that the season ended and the way Andy had to do a separate sit down. Like, I think everyone's going to hold Robin's feet to the fire. And I hope Robin will just tell us what's really going on, because that will, there's so much mystery about why she's been making some of the decisions and why she hasn't been talking about it when, she's definitely one of the people who is first in line to hold other people's feet to the fire. So,
yep,
it'll be interesting, and I just hope that she's forthright and is forthright with the audience and really explains where her position is and what's going on.
Absolutely.
And then I want to say it was the same day that we got that picture. Then, speaking of, us Bravo fans not getting a break, but that Ava Marcille has, from Atlanta and then Girls Trip, has filed for divorce from her husband, Michael Sterling. And then what I thought was interesting is shortly after, I can't remember if it was the same day, maybe it was the next, you also posted his statement saying that he is not going to give up on her, which I think makes things extra juicy and really want to know what the story is.
I mean, legitimately, I posted the Juan thing and then I'm like, all right, I had to go get my hair done. I was taking my daughter for a haircut and I get this picture sent of And honestly, you never know, because I'm not big on Twitter. So I pop on here and there, but you never know if something's posted and somebody just sends it, whatever. But I always just post. So I just posted it on Instagram and then Twitter. And apparently we were the first ones to do so because went wild. Shock. I mean, followers were shocked. I was shocked. We saw her very recently on Ultimate Girls Trip at Bluestone Manor, and there was nothing indicating any issues. She seemed very open, talking about him in a very loving way. I actually remember Brandy was like made a joke. It was joke. It wasn't that she had any like knowledge, but she made some sort of joke about like, oh, I wish you would split up so I could hook up, or something Brandy would say.
Mhm.
And she got very angry, but I wouldn't necessarily say that that was an indication. So,
And that was filmed in fall of 21,
yes,
right? Or no, fall of 20.
22.
Yeah, fall of 21, because I remember we were talking about the film. We were talking about the show, watching it last summer, so summer of 22. Yeah, okay.
Right.
So, but yeah, so that, I mean, I guess a lot can still happen in a year and a half, but it was surprising to me too, because there were no like micro emotions kind of showing, at least that I could see. There were no like eye rolling if she talked to, like, there was no stress in her body about like leaving the kids with him. Like, it just seemed very solid to me.
Absolutely. I don't know. And I think his statement, and again, I don't have any intel on it. Nobody has sent us anything, but his statement seemed to indicate that he had done something and he wanted to make things better.
Yeah.
So most people assume that's cheating. It's hard to imagine that he is cheating on her, but I mean, such is the Bravo world.
You know what? So many men are such fucking pigs too. I'm not saying that he is, but like, it just, honestly, it's not that I am like a man hater. I'm just the opposite, but I just feel like there are just, that was my assumption when I read the thing too, is
right.
That, you know, and like, I don't know. I heard this woman talking on Instagram just about men and cheating, and like, and it wasn't just men, it was about people and cheating, but that so much of it's just about like validation. And, you know, we all grow up, you know, you get A's, you get medals, you get places in tournaments, you know, growing up, and then you're grown up, and then like all the validation kind of goes away, especially after you've been married and you've got kids, and like life is kind of just, you know, life. And right. That's what this, and I'd credit the person, but I wasn't even planning on talking about this. I just thought of it, and that so much of it has nothing to do with love for a person or the lack of love for a person, that it's a validation thing, and that like people have to train their brains to like look elsewhere versus, you know, people being attracted to them or getting an A in their history test for the validation that they need. So anyway,
I mean, that totally makes sense. And I would like to say this is my official request for both Eva and Portia to get back on Atlanta. I mean, Portia on the Ultimate Girls Trip in Thailand. Amanda, like, your thoughts, because...
Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, let me think here. So, first of all, I just want to point out, I just think it's kind of weird that Leah is sort of an island. Leah and Portia, right? They're standalones from their cities. They're not paired up with somebody else from their city. But then I remembered back to when we were originally talking about this, the rumor had been that Tinsley was going to be on, and that Tinsley backed out.
Do you know, like, I was trying to remember, because as I was watching the scene, remember when they were doing the games and they were paired up, and I was like, wait, wasn't there supposed to be someone else from New York? And I didn't even, Tinsley, that's right.
And so I'm like, okay, so this makes it makes more sense to me. And like Portia, I think, is probably just trying to show that she wants to get back in. So I have so many thoughts. I don't even know where to start. Well, we'll come back to Portia in a second, and we'll come back to Leah in a second. But I wanted to say, watching this show makes me feel like Giselle and Candace could be friends. I feel like clearly there's so much history, too much history. They seem like such similar people to me. Maybe that's why they don't like each other, is because they are too much alike. I don't know. I think the other thing I've been noticing, like, as much as I have wanted to hold on to my love for Heather Gay, like, I started to lose it this last season. Then seeing her, you know, continue to ride for Jen, didn't love that. And then watching her on this show when she said, you know, and she went to Leah and said, I was really hoping that I could get you to drink on this trip, but I found that just not, that's gross to me. Like, somebody who is struggling with sobriety, like, I understand that Heather comes from a Mormon community where seeing someone struggle with sobriety might not be as common. That might feel more foreign, right? But that is such a fucked up thing to do, to go to somebody who has talked about it, who has written about it, who even, she said, I read your book, who's talked about struggling with her sobriety. Like,
I found it absolutely gross. After she said she read her book, I was like, what? To me, I loved her the first season. She is coming across phony and strange. You know, I've said this before. I'm like, I don't think she fits in. I think that she doesn't feel she fits in, and she's trying hard. And Whitney, who I've never been a fan of, I'm actually liking her. And I like that she called Heather a clout chaser. And most recently, she came out and said, she was like, I know all of Heather's lies and I'm exposing her. Like, I'm done. Yeah. So Girls Trip is heating up for that.
That last episode when Whitney gets on and because the game was, you either answer this hard question, this shady question, or you have to eat a scorpion. And Whitney was asked to name 3 lies that Heather has shared on TV, or has shared while on camera. And Whitney ate the scorpion and said so she wouldn't have to do it. But then Whitney got so pissed at dinner that night, she goes into the confessional room and turns on the camera and she's like, here's 3 lies. Which, yeah, I mean, I think she's done. And I agree. Like, I always kind of liked Whitney. I thought she was kind of fun to watch. But like, I'm with you on this, that I'm liking her more.
Leah, though, for me, is another one. I mean, saying she's bored about Alexia's life story. Now, I think we all have opinions on Alexia and many of her recent actions, especially at the reunion. But her life story is a telenovela. And, in my opinion, one of the most interesting life stories in Housewives history. So, and people are like, I think on the show they said it. Leah's just acting like that because she's a New Yorker. No, that has nothing to do with being a New Yorker. It's me. Like, one of them said that it's like she wants the attention and then she gets it and she puts the fan in front of her face and she's all, forget it. She's a bore. Bye. She tries to be interesting by being outrageous and it just falls flat. And all the people who didn't like Leah since the beginning were absolutely right. A lot of accounts were like, why do people like her? I blame it on COVID fog. We were all locked in our houses, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought some of her, I don't care. Like, don't go and trash somebody's house because they're using tiki torches, and tiki torches had, like, as much of an asshole as Ramona can be, like, when you're a guest at somebody's house, like, that behavior, I mean, as outrageous and funny as that whole episode was when the dildo ended up in the pasta salad and all of that, like, I'm sorry, just, I guess I was raised very differently, where if you are a guest in someone's house, you just don't act that way. But, even now that Leah is sober, now, because before she blamed the alcohol and now she's blaming PMS. And I just don't think you can blame PMS for being an asshole. I mean, can you imagine if oh, so sorry, I keyed your car, I have PMDD. And then I egged your house. Oh, I have PMDD. Oh, wait. Oh, I'm sorry I told you that your baby is ugly. It's my fucking PMDD.
You know what it is, too, with Leah? It's like, housewives get away with being rude or saying things, but there's something that, like, draws us to them. With Leah, she only has the rude side. Like, and I mean, she's a beautiful girl, but she just, I don't know. Her vibe is, she has low vibrations. Who was that? Lala that said that on
Hmm.
Vanderpump Rules. She has low vibration. She's not made for television. She's sort of a wet blanket, and like she's negative or boring. There's no fun side.
But again, going back to manners, like I think Alexia's story is interesting, and I mean, to hear it told in person, I would want to hear even more, even though I had already heard it on TV, right? And like feel like we've lived it with her. But even if I didn't, even if I thought it was the boring fucking story ever, I would never be so rude as to say what Leah did. I agree. She's just totally
I think she
unlikable.
was looking for a moment, and then
Yeah.
everyone looked at her like, "What are you doing?" And then she was like, "Forget it, forget it, forget it." Like Portia is shining like a star. Giselle is great. And like this is making me remember, and I like that Giselle saying, everybody knows I'm the one who stirs it up. Like I like when they were calling Jen Shah, she didn't pick up. She's like, I would have asked more questions than, the attorneys or whatever. Candy is shining.
Yeah.
So far, the three of them, to me, are like carrying the show. I think Marisol and Alexia definitely add to it as well. Whitney's all right. She's got her moments. Heather is womp womp. And
Yeah.
Pepsi. I mean, we had better. You see that White Lotus officially announced, which I think we all had
Hmm.
heard, that third installment is set in Thailand. If they don't have Pepsi working at the hotel, we don't want it. Okay?
I mean, I love Pepsi. I have loved him since the first time when we saw the trailer. I mean, I feel like I don't remember when the pod was that we talked about this, but when we first saw this, I called it out. I was like, that guy, he is gonna be a star. I mean, I think they're clearly casting now for somebody who is like for the butler
A
role, like
character, a
to be a
character.
bit of a character, or like somebody who maybe gets like who's like really animated or gets overwhelmed or whatever. But I don't know. I have to say though, like watching this show, I have not been to Thailand. It is actually quite high on my list of places that I want to go, but now I feel like I have to go with a bug handler because the bugs they have been showing. I am like, I am an independent woman. I make my own money. I run a company, but I cannot handle like bugs like that. Like I am like a little scared to go to Thailand now unless there's somebody who can deal with bugs with me because those are like one of them I was like, is that a snake or is that like a bug?
I'm like the least outdoorsy person in the whole world. So, yeah. I like a very contained environment. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I would need a bug handler as well. Or like just
yeah.
a 5-star resort where they didn't let, like, I guess they can't stop it though, right?
Yeah, well, and like a lot of it's inside outside, right? Which is some of the magic of that house.
Oh my God. The house is incredible. It almost looks like a monk's monastery, doesn't it?
It's beautiful. It's
It's
absolutely
incredible.
beautiful. And I mean, based on how Leah has been acting, like I think she deserved the closet room.
Pretty funny too that she got the closet room.
But of course, again, it's all about her. She's like, I can't believe we're having a barbecue with everything cooked in pork oil. And I'm like, you know what?
There's a chef that's going to make you something on the side.
Yes. So then, like, who even cares? Like, what a dumb thing to complain about when there's so much else going on.
Saying anything positive at all the whole entire trip.
No, I totally agree. I think she's one of those people who
Poor
like.
me, poor me, poor me.
Mhm.
And you can also see she's so shook and wanting to be asked back to New York because at this point they did not know that it was going to be a legacy when they were filming. And they asked her a question like, who would you want fired? And she was like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm not answering that. And she ate the bug. And then in confessional, she's like, I'm not answering that. I don't hire or fire. Like, she didn't want to say anything to piss anyone off. And I do know that
Mhm.
we had heard that, like, she kind of went against Ebony. Like, when the tide turned on Ebony, she went right along with it. Like, she's out for herself and me, 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 me. And I'm not a fan. And I don't think it matters much because I don't think we'll be seeing her anymore.
Yeah, I don't either. And like I don't know. I think she had to leave early or did leave early and like that's going to be fine with me
Right.
if that's the case. So Alexia, by the way, did you see the back and forth with her husband Todd and Dr. Nicole's fiance Anthony on Instagram this week?
Yes, I did.
So I think Todd Todd apologized first to Anthony, but Anthony sent him chocolates. So you know how sometimes on social media it's hard to tell what happened first, but it looks like they are both apologizing to each other.
No, I think that Todd was showing the chocolates and flowers he was going to send to Anthony.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So here's the thing. This is very interesting. So the first piece of it, Todd goes on and does this very lengthy apology. So the first piece of it is he completely blames production. He says that he always liked Anthony, and at dinner they forced them to bring it up, and he had no choice. First of all, he got very nasty. And Anthony held his own too, but Todd got very nasty. He questioned Anthony's career. He questioned basically how he makes money. I mean, he really did a lot of stuff that I highly doubt production forced, right?
Right.
What I noticed was in his apology, which was like 8 minutes long, he said, right after we shot that, Anthony and I were talking and we were fine and we were talking about business. And he mentioned to me that he has a lot of real estate in Miami. Well, just side note, that makes sense how he has so much money. We know that when people own land, you get that residual income coming in from shopping centers.
Mm-hmm.
You can live quite well. So essentially, Anthony was like, I need someone to manage these properties, and Todd wants to manage them. So I think that maybe Anthony had forgotten about it or whatever, and there were plans to work together. And then at the reunion, we saw how rude Alexia, Marisol, and the rest of them were on that couch were about Anthony and calling him like some female name or whatever. I think Todd was like, hold up. This guy has a very lucrative like line of work for me. Maybe they're already working together, and maybe Todd was nervous that he would cut him off after that. And he went public and he basically kissed his ass because he wants to work with him. Now, people were saying to me, well, Anthony's a lawyer. Do we think he threatened to sue him? No, I don't think he threatened to sue him. I mean, their wives are on the show. He's not going to put Nicole's position on the show in jeopardy for suing Todd for saying stuff. But the reality is that Anthony is the boss of this situation because you came for him. You said how you don't know how he makes his money. And now you're publicly apologizing. And let's face it, he probably should have left out the fact that he wanted to manage those shopping centers, because it was clear as day to me that Anthony was like, you're not working for me. And he did this public apology. And Anthony was like, all right, he made himself look stupid in front of all the fans. I'm good. You can manage my properties.
Which is the ultimate flex, I think, by
Yes.
Anthony, right? Like,
and at some point you think, you see, you're dealing with two very smart people. You think Dr. Nicole isn't holding that up her sleeve to hold it over Alexia, to make Alexia be nice to her and Marisol be nice to her. And then guess what? If they stop being nice, Anthony fires him for managing all those properties. And then
right.
Todd and Alexia are at odds because why can't you just be nice to Nicole so I can have a lucrative deal? Ta-da.
Right.
It's great. It's going to make for a great season because Alexia, let's watch. Guaranteed, Alexia is perfectly nice to Nicole, and so is Marisol. And they encourage Larsa. Now, will Larsa fall in line? No. She's not living off that, income, but.
Well, I mean, you know what they say. Back to Anthony and the ultimate flex is money talks and bullshit walks. And, like, here we go. Like, they have now apologized. And, I think he just sat there knowing, like, well, if the guy doesn't want the deal and wants to be an asshole, like, he's welcome to it. In other Miami news, so they're on the original Miami that was on Bravo, Joanna Krupa, who is and was a supermodel and was on the original Miami Housewives, just announced this week that she is divorcing her husband of 5 years. They have like I don't know, is she like 3-year-old or so daughter
I
together?
Believe so.
Yeah, little. She's still like little, like not elementary school age, like small
toddler
child. Yeah.
Get her back on Miami and bring her hot ex Roman with her. In all seriousness, I was rewatching just last night. I was rewatching because I've been rewatching Miami, and I rewatched the episode of Joanna getting into it with Joe Francis from Girls Gone Wild at Lisa. I didn't remember this episode, at Lisa's lingerie charity event. So Joe Francis shows up with Leah Black, and basically when Joanna says hello to him and when she walks away, he says, and Karen's, remember that one who Marisol calls the carrier pigeon because she repeats everything? Karen hears him say, oh, I slept with Joanna and her sister. Karen runs over, tells Joanna. Joanna's screaming at him belligerently. Then Joanna's sister is like, actually, I did sleep with Joe Francis. And she's like, what the fuck? Then flash forward to in the kitchen, Marisol's arguing or talking to Karen, and Joanna decides to stick up for her and basically belligerently like pushes her fiance Roman out of the way. They ended up marrying. He leaves. Then she gets into a physical altercation. Adriana, no, not Marisol, it was Adriana. Adriana like pushes her in the face. Like it was this whole it was so wild. But Joanna had a very powerful energy. She was a lot. And I think we all remember when Brandy on Watch What Happens Live made a joke that Mohammed had said her vagina was stinky, and Joanna turned around and sued her. Yeah. And this lawsuit went on for years, and they settled in 2017. Basically, they never came out and said, but they just, Brandy did say, I regret ever making such statements. I also never intended to be taken so seriously. I wish Joanna success. So Brandy had to pay Joanna something because there was a settlement. And also part of the settlement was probably come out and make a public apology. These Miami people like public apologies. That's one thing we've learned today.
Yeah. So, I think maybe we need to do like a little rewatch.
Speaking Miami of Brandy,
rewatch chat.
I just want to speak about Brandy very quickly. And we're going to get to this when we talk Beverly Hills, but she's coming out now and she's saying, I'm sure you saw her tweets.
Yeah.
Months after, like a couple months after it came out that she had to leave Girls Trip because she sexually assaulted Caroline, and Bravo, basically, Amanda, and this is a hot tip. This is hot tea. It's official. Like there's at least a 6-month pause on working with her. But my source says that, listen, in the Bravo land, nothing is forever. One day she could work for them again. But she was booked and busy. She was on Traitors. They certainly were probably planning on having her on Beverly Hills, especially we're seeing like, what's going on there and how they're just having any Joe Schmo show up to film. So it's convenient that she's coming out so pissed off now because now she's really been told, yeah, you're not coming. I mean, they're having Teddy. They're having Dorit. They're having Camille. They're even having Meredith from Salt Lake City was filming at Sutton's party. So they're literally having everybody. Brandy is X'd out of Bravo for the time being. And again, nothing lasts forever in Bravo, but that's why she's lashing out. And
because she's lashing out and saying, show me the footage, and like being messy on Twitter, and like it's more of the typical Brandy. But this season, it sounds like on Beverly Hills, it sounds like they could use something, because we've gotten multiple tips coming in saying that it's boring. I mean, I don't know if we believed this one, but we heard somebody sent us in a tip saying one of the producers on Beverly Hills quit because the season is so boring.
Yes, they did say that.
Here's my theory, is they're all on Ozempic and you're not really supposed to drink, or you don't want to drink, I guess. I don't know. I haven't taken it, but they're all on Ozempic and not drinking, so it's boring.
I mean, it clocks. That clocks.
Just kidding, guys. Like, allegedly, like, I'm just totally making that up. Nobody's saying everybody's on Ozempic. I'm just making a dumb joke, but still.
Well, we are saying that many of them have suspiciously dropped 20 pounds since last season.
Or 40. I mean, there are some people who look like...
Erica looks... and Erica is somebody who's always fluctuated.
Yeah.
And she looks great any size, don't mistake me. But she looks super thin.
Super thin. Yeah. Because she's a tall person, too. Yeah. So...
And she's a curvy person. She usually has, like, you know, like more like button legs, and she just looks like Dorit thin.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to Scandoval, because I feel like no week goes by without something happening. So the paparazzi, I think there's one of them. I don't know his name.
I think Josh.
I feel like it's Josh. Okay, who seems to be following, like, kind of know, or maybe they're all tipping him off, but seems to be getting some more of the footage of what's been going on. So we saw the Raquel picture of her leaving Tom's house with bags when Ariana was out of town. And then we also know last week, the reunion, a lot happened at that. We know, of course, that everybody was kind of against Raquel and Sandoval, but we got the intelligence that it was also including Lisa and Andy. So Raquel and Sandoval kind of got no breathers. And then we heard Raquel was very like nonchalant about everything. We know that 2 cast members during the reunion got physical.
I think almost.
Yeah, because we knew that they had extra security on hand because they were worried that it would. But we heard that it was not Sandoval, not Raquel, Rochelle, and not Lala. But then we got an email.
Oh, do you want to read the email, Amanda?
Sure, I'll read it. Okay. Subject. You didn't hear it from me, but it was James and Schwartz that almost came to blows. James wasn't buying that Schwartz wasn't in on everything the entire time. This really activated Schwartz. Most were shocked to see this other side of him, but not everyone. He plays the passive role so well. So, okay, James, not that shocking, because I think James, I think he has some anger issues, I think, but I'm actually not as surprised that it was Schwartz too, because I think Schwartz is probably feeling the heat on all of this from all sides, feeling like his whole world is falling apart too. I think his business partners are probably like, what the fuck? Because, once this whole curiosity thing about Scandoval wears off and that curiosity crowd stops coming in, they're going to see a huge drop in business because now both Toms come off as unlikable and their personalities and like the fact that like they even said this in their recent LA Times interview before Scandoval happened, like people like it that they're so approachable, that they're in the bars so frequently and that it was a big draw.
Right. I also, and a follower sent to me, because everybody, I haven't, but a lot of people are rewatching Vanderpump Rules. And a follower pointed out that in earlier seasons, Schwartz was like, a couple of occasions was aggressive and nasty. And I have always felt that he sort of assumed a role. Like he figured that would work for him. And we saw the way he spoke to Katie. Like I distinctly remember a vacation they were on and she was like, what is it that bothers you? He was like, every time you open your fucking mouth, and like just was like very nasty. So I'm not surprised. Yeah. And I think that James was probably just saying to him, we all know you knew the whole time, Schwartz. You're an effing liar. You lied to Kate. Like you lied to Katie. You care about her so much that you were willing to do this for Sandoval and to have Katie so hurt. Like I think he really laid into Schwartz and Schwartz couldn't take it because he had no defense, because I think ultimately it's true. I mean, there's stuff floating around that they were on somewhere in January and it was Joe, Schwartz,
Big Bear, skiing. Yeah.
Like he knew. Maybe he didn't know from the day they kissed, but he's known for months.
Yeah. Yeah, and he knows what an asshole it makes him look like that he didn't say or do anything. And I mean, he has got to be feeling so I mean, literally from all sides, he's got to feel like he's got nobody left but Sandoval as a friend, because everyone's got to be just as mad at Tom Schwartz. I mean, all of these people have put all this time and money into those businesses, and it's going to hurt their businesses. It is.
And then we get a follower who was in Steamboat and was at a bar when they were filming. And she said that she was leaving Steamboat and she saw Schwartz so she saw them at
the bar.
Yeah. She did a bunch of stuff, like nothing like shocking. She said Kyle was drunk. Amanda wasn't there. She was probably back at the house because we know she was there. Just like that kind of stuff. But what was info was that she saw Schwartz and he said to her, he didn't say anything much about Scandoval, just stuff we already know. He said the reunion was intense, but he said that he fell in love on the trip. He said he can't say who, but he's very happy. Well, I can tell you that somebody told me that it's Kate Flood from Below Deck, and he was hooking up with her. Today, or actually it was yesterday, Katie Flood and Malia posted pictures of themselves flying to LA. So I guess the person who told me it was, everyone assumed Malia, myself included, but I didn't even know Katie because I don't think I watched that Below Deck season. People are asking, what about Joe? What about her? He never claimed her from the beginning. It seems like he probably just used her because he needed somebody. He wanted comfort, and she stayed with him in his nasty, dirty apartment.
I don't, that's when I don't really quite understand either.
Right?
Yeah. Because it looks like it was like a 1-bedroom. I don't know. And Katie Maloney saying like what weird energy Joe has. Like she just sounds, I don't know. People who I think she just said crackhead energy were the words that she used.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean,
about Joe, not about Katie Flood.
Yeah, about Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing to me that a girl like Katie Flood, like, this is, Scandival is happening in real time. I mean, everybody knows about it. Why would you want to associate yourself with Tom Schwartz? I mean, yeah, okay, maybe he's not as bad as Sandoval, but he's certainly no Boy Scout.
Who knows? Who knows? I don't know.
Speaking of Winterhouse, oh my God, I keep getting so much intel on that Jason Cameron. Like,
yeah.
The emails keep coming in about him being a user, but I don't even think he was on this season of Winterhouse, was he?
I don't think so. I think that's why he was trying to get on it, is like, I think that's what he was doing. I think he and Giselle going out was about him trying to get cast. So, and like, another thing, right? That like with Summer House complaining about how there's never enough guys, like, why wasn't Jason on it? I guess because of Lindsay. That's right. Because Lindsay wouldn't film and live in the same house as him.
Right. And anyway. I think it also comes down to production companies, and they're different production companies. Speaking of production companies, in September, you and I announced that they had filmed a Summer House spinoff in Martha's Vineyard, and that it was the same, it said crew. And when I posted that, people were like, crew? It's different people. They meant production crew. So
producers, camera people, sound people, light people. Yeah.
The trailer looks incredible. I feel like it's going to be an awesome show. It will be airing after Atlanta on Sundays. I mean, I already followed all of the people. Most of them follow me back because, they're not famous yet. We see a newly married couple, which is like, never, they should have called Kyle and Amanda. Never a good idea to hop into a Summer House newly married. We see somebody bring a boyfriend back, and like her friend's naked in the hot tub, and they flip out like explosive. I don't even know these people yet. And usually when I watch trailers and I don't know anyone and I have no investment, I really am not that intrigued. And I was very intrigued.
It's giving very early Summer House vibes to me, which makes me really excited.
But they don't look like kids. They look like probably early 30s.
But just like people doing fun stuff, having a good time, who have careers, who are beautiful to look at, and who are partying and having fun, right? Like, and don't have all of the baggage, right? That I think I was thinking about this yesterday because after I watched that, and I was like, what is it? Because I'm like, same thing. I don't know who any of these people are. Why am I? I'm like, oh, maybe it is. It's like the baggage of all these previous seasons has been weighing Summer House down when summer should be fun.
But what do we think, Amanda? So this season of Summer House, the ratings are low. Everyone's saying it's boring. This is going to come out. I can't imagine it's not going to be a smash hit. I mean, they gave it the sweet Sunday night spot, and it's after Atlanta, which is always a big draw. So is there a Summer House as we know it next year at the Hamptons?
Not with this whole same cast. I don't think so. What do you think?
And I don't think so, but I also feel like it's pretty evident that they've had such trouble casting for Summer House. We know that's true with men. I do think the new girls are good, but I just think there's a disconnect. What did you think of Summer House this week? The sort of like elephant in the room or uncomfortableness between Ciara and Gabby.
I was going to ask you what you thought about that too. I don't know. Like,
I do think that, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think that all the girls feel a sort of way because Gabby does voice how she's supported by her parents and she's wealthy a lot. Like she says, like, I hire people for that, or I don't know, I have my father's credit card. I mean, we've heard it several times. Yeah. I think that might be turning Ciara off a little bit. I don't know about Maya, but I do know that Maya went to a fancy private school. So something tells me that Maya may sort of come from money too, but she's not as in your face about it where Gabby is. And I think that bothers Ciara.
Well, and I was going to say, so like, my hesitation when we were like just bringing this up is that I as a person feel like Gabby is not somebody that I would kind of vibe with. Like she has this kind of entitled way about her, not just about talking about money, but also like, you know, and then like she seems very, very hung up on this old relationship, which for us as viewers is like a little bit boring, I think.
Right.
And like I'd rather see her. Yeah. And it's like I'd rather just see her like be like, fuck it, I'm gonna get out there like Lindsay always has, right? And be like, I'm gonna go, you know, end up in somebody else's bed tonight. So however, I think there's that, right? But I also think there is like something weird about Ciara just not being super open to Gabby. And I don't know what that's about. I don't know if that's I've been here for a couple of years and you haven't and you need to earn your stripes situation. But it definitely seems like Ciara's being like a little bit mean to her. I feel like though, like Sam too, right? Like there's just some like a little bit of closed offness.
I think that
towards both of them.
With these women, there's always kind of a sense of like, well, she could take my spot. So a little bit competitive. I just think that Ciara doesn't like her that much. I think that we're going to see that. Also, I don't think we discussed this because I think it was the most recent episode, which doesn't seem that recent because it was Monday. Danielle and Robert are very clearly not in a good place.
Yeah.
And so two sides of that. So on the Danielle side, I say her best friend should like acknowledge that and get that and sort of be there for her more. And then on Lindsay's side, I say it's very clearly projection. And I get that you're not in a great place, but like I have had a tough time finding something solid myself. And why are you begrudging me my happiness?
Yes. Can I just say though, like I watched that last season or the last episode, right? And Robert comes and he cooks this insane meal for everybody. And all we're hearing about is how much he works. And it's like, wait, why is he coming and making this? I mean, literally lugging in crates of food to feed everybody. And I'm like, why can't he come and have the fucking night off? Like, I don't understand it. And like, I kind of get a little mad at Danielle about it too. Because it's like, I think she looks at it like, look at what he can do. And he's so amazing. But also it's like, just let him have the fucking night off. Like, go out for dinner and like, let him have somebody else cook for him.
Amanda,
I don't know.
I'm going to disagree with you. And I'm going to say that he wants to do that. They're on television. He's a chef. He works at fancy places and he wants to be like, look at me cook. It's like a free cooking show advertisement for him. I think that Amanda, I'm calling Danielle Amanda. I think that Danielle being like, I don't get to spend 5 minutes with him, blah, 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 blah. I think she would much prefer they ordered pizza on his night and he could be with her the whole night. I think that's
then why wasn't she sitting in the kitchen with him and like hanging out with him while he's cooking? Because like that's what I would do in that situation then. Because then, of course, I'd be like, of course, babe, if you want to cook and, you know, it's great exposure for you and I'll sit in there and like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe he doesn't like people sitting in there. Chefs are weird like that.
That's true. That is true. I don't know. It is clear that
concerned, I'm going to blame him because
I know why.
We all know that he slid into my DMs and was very rude to me. But outside of that,
Multiple times, not just once.
multiple times. But I also think that he's very selfish. I think that there's no compromise with him. I think that, listen, you're a chef. You can be a chef at a very fancy restaurant in Manhattan or Brooklyn where they live, but you're choosing to do Montauk and Aspen. So his priority was not their relationship because he expected her, because she's building her app and working remotely, to travel the world, not the world, but the country with him and have no stability over him settling in one place. And even if that was, I know that last season they spoke about like Charleston, remember? Okay, but even if it was that, like, how about, and then she says in this episode, like, I don't know if it makes sense for us to have this apartment because, we're never here. And he's like, oh no, we need someplace to call home. I also see that as him not wanting her to always be there. Like, in other words, he wants her to go back home. And listen, we know that I got intel that he did his thing when she wasn't around. So I have a certain scope on him. Of course, I have no evidence other than more than one person inboxed me to say that, out in Aspen and out in Montauk. And apparently he would always say they were on breaks, and there's no way to know if they were or weren't because she didn't even announce their breakup for months. And she still had the sign hanging up in her apartment, like R&D. So we know that she very much wanted to get back together, but I just find him I think he's selfish.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. What did you think about Paige with her, like, and Craig and their conversation and her, like, I like where we are in life attitude?
I loved it. I think that it's complicated because she lives in New York City. Her parents live in upstate New York, but still it's a couple-hour drive. And she's the one uprooting her life because the plan is for her to move to Charleston. I mean, he has the house. He's made a lot of improvements on the house. I don't know if you saw on Instagram. He just did his whole backyard, gorgeous in-ground pool, the whole thing. He's done the house. So I think the assumption is she's going to move full-time there. And I think they're together a lot. And yes, it involves travel, but she is there a lot. And she doesn't want to give up New York yet. I just wonder, I don't know. They both also, now we have to remember, she was filming and he was getting ready to film Southern Charm. Southern Charm has just wrapped. So I think that right about now, they're going to be making decisions. And I think a big piece of that decision will be whether or not Summer House is greenlit as it is, or if she's included for this summer. If it isn't, if they're like, we're pausing this, we're going a different way. First, I think there'll always be a place for her on Bravo. I think she's a huge success and they're going to find something for her. But if it isn't picked up, I see her moving to Charleston, engagement, that whole thing. If it is picked up, maybe they push it off another couple seasons.
Yeah. Well, two things. One is, even if she does move there, I could still see her kind of going back and forth. And like, I could see her being like, nope, my career is important and I'm still going to have that for me.
Right.
But I loved that whole conversation because I feel like there's just this, like, getting the diamond on the left hand is the ultimate goal. Like, there has been this narrative for so long, right? And like, where she's like, no, I mean, just because I'm turning 30 and just because we've been dating for a year, she's like, I like where we are in life. And like, her realizing, like, no, my career, like, this is bigger than just a diamond on my, or like a man who has declared that he loves me. Like, I want more. And I just, in that, like, there is no rush to make any changes or do anything right now because I have the man I love. I have a great career. Like,
and her career is very much like just taking off. Like, it's a couple of years, like, you know what I'm saying? And Giggly Squad, and she tours with Hannah for that, and she does all her Amazon lives, and she has a lot of partnerships that are based in New York City. So I also think, and this is just me guessing, I feel like as reality stars go, Paige and Craig are sort of like, quote unquote, normal people. And I don't see them wanting to maybe they would put a wedding on television. I don't see them wanting to put their kids on television. Maybe I'm wrong about that. certainly not on like an ensemble cast like Southern Charm. I just think that they're kind of listen, he has a lot of business. He's an attorney. He has that firm that, and a lot of people don't understand what that is, but attorneys work for him and he gets a third of a third because it's personal injury. So whether he's there or not,
he sends them leads. It's essentially,
it's a big,
but
salary.
Legit, not in like a Jen Shaw way.
Yeah, it's a big salary, and he has obviously he's successful sewing down south. He's investor in several restaurants in Charleston, and most recently one in Manhattan. Him and Austin actually invested with Carriage House with this guy Jordan something, who's like on the not the Food Network, but some Food Network or like whatever. I say all that to say, I feel like when it comes time for like the family life, I can see them backing away from reality in like the everyday capacity. Like maybe they would do, you know, like they pop up to stay relevant for endorsements and brands, but I don't see them filming their kids and stuff. I could be wrong. That's just what I see.
Well, and I think that's why they're kind of having, I think you're probably right. And I think they have this, like, let's make hay while we can, you know, and like knowing that Bravo is probably not going to last forever. And it's smart of them, you know, just to think like an NFL player would, right? Of like, what's, you know, I need to put a few irons in the fire right now. So I totally agree with you. But I just loved that. And that she's not the like, you know, I want to get engaged. I want to have a, you know, like that. She's like, no, I want all of the things. And like, I like where we are right now. It felt like a quiet moment in the show, but I felt like it was really significant to me.
I totally think it was. And I think it was also a really good moment for girls Paige's age. I should say women because they're 30, because there is that pressure. I mean, it's always been that way.
Yeah.
I know like by 30, people are worried about, oh my God, I have to have a baby or, you know, and it's so unfair because those pressures are never on men because men can just procreate whenever.
Right.
So yeah, I thought it was great. And I think that the fans liked it too.
Yeah.
All right, cocktailers. It's been real.
Thanks, guys.
And also, so you guys know, I'm doing this like on the tail end of a stomach bug. So if I seem a little off, the norovirus spread throughout my entire house and it was awful. And I'm like just at the end of it and it sucks. And I have a wedding tomorrow. So fun times over here at B's house.
It's, you know, just drink your fluids, and now that you can.
I can't. The only silver lining is I'll look extra trim in my dress tomorrow.
Well, I think you also been working out and stuff too, so don't give the stomach flu all the credit. Well, thank you guys. We will talk to you guys next week, but thanks, and as always, please definitely check out the website, follow B at Bravo and Cocktails _. Hit follow on the podcast because every follow counts for us as we are working on growing. And if you want more tea, you know where to come find it at Cocktail Party.
Till next time.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Just want to ask you guys a favor, just getting kicked off. So many people have been asking us to do this podcast. So please do subscribe. And if you've subscribed, go to your podcast app and hit those 3 little dots to share with your friends, but only friends who like good tea, because the ones who don't care about tea, then like forget them. And don't forget, find us on Instagram at Bravo and Cocktails _ and check out the website because some great tea gets put there daily that would get us kicked off of Instagram. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye, guys. See you next time.